So the next assignment you have is the e-portfolio. So that's what we're going to look at today. It's important by the end of this that you understand what an e-portfolio is, how it's used when you're looking for work, that you're able to create an effective e-portfolio, and that you understand what LinkedIn is and how to use it. Just so you know, much of this information was supplied by Student Employment Services at Red River College Polytech, and you can go to their site at any point and get assistance in the creation of your portfolio. So an e-portfolio is a personal website. It shows rather than tells the potential employer what skills you have. It's an organized collection of your work that showcases your skills. It shows potential employers evidence or proof that you indeed have the skills you've mentioned in your cover letter and resume. Having an e-portfolio helps you stand out amongst other applicants. It's also a great tool for storing, organizing, reflecting on, and sharing items that represent your learning. You can include items such as documents, graphics, audio files, videos, PowerPoint presentations, coursework, things like that to demonstrate your mastery in certain areas. You can control what items you want to put in your portfolio, how they're organized, and who you share them with. When you share items with your peers, mentors, or potential employers, you can give them permission to view the items, edit them, see or add comments, see or add assessments to receive feedback. It's up to you. You choose that. As you continue in your career, you can continue to add to your portfolio. So you can use this when you go for an interview. You can keep adding to it as your experiences change. So here's an example of the front page of someone's portfolio. So she has a little about me information or welcome. Then she has these tabs up here. These tabs are actually hyperlinks, so they'll take you to a different page. What should an e-portfolio include? Well, although they're all different, they should have artifacts. Artifacts is proof of your skills or your competencies, such as certification, professional documents, group projects, lab reports, photos, videos, essays you wrote, etc. Each piece of documentation should have a couple of sentence write-up explaining either the process that you used to create it or how you achieved it, what specific skill it showcases. It's just a couple of sentences. Also, there's reflective writing. So you think about your skills, your time management, your personal management skills, etc. Most e-portfolios have hyperlinks, those tabs that take you to other parts. And here's an example of some of these tabs. So it identifies the different parts of your portfolio. Everybody organizes these differently. So for example, you may choose to put your resume, cover letter, and references under a tab called Employment Documents. You may choose not to have your mission statement as a tab, but put it right on your home page. So there's a lot of personal choice here, and you want to make choices that make you look professional and make things look attractive. So those are all the different sections, and it's listed in your assignment. So these are some people's e-portfolios, just their homepage to give you an idea. So I think this fellow used Weebly in his creation. So he's got the About Me, he's got some blog posts here, he has his tabs up here, and he has a visual with his name. This one's a little bit differently formatted. So I think this one was using Google Sites. So there's the tabs here, and he's got a welcome message and then his name. Your name should be prominent on the cover. Here's another one. I think this one used Wix to create this one. So you get an idea of just how everybody formats these differently. This one is interesting because it's mostly white. So it doesn't matter how you format it as long as it's consistent, it looks professional, it has those tabs and everything that we're asking for in the assignment. One of the things you have to include is a mission statement. So a mission statement gives you the opportunity to say what's important to you in your career, what you want to focus on, what you've already done, what you want to accomplish, your goals, that kind of thing. Um, Here's an example of one. I want to make a positive difference in the lives of others, even if only in a small way. So they go on and talk about their goals. There are links in the module to help you write your personal mission statement. Here's another one. They've included a quote in it. So this is all, just examples of things that you could or could not do. And look at how they're formatted. Both of them are formatted quite differently, right? This is very plain, whereas this one has a very fancy background, etc. You need 3 skills section. Now, sometimes people put these all together, sometimes they separate them. The first one is fundamental skills. So if you completed the worksheets in the earlier module, this should really, really help you because you're identifying your writing, speaking, listening, reading, math, and technology skills. So fundamental skills is basically something you can be taught. Some of the documentation that you might want to include are things like transcripts, any licenses you have, charts or graphs you created, an education plan that you might have, software that you've mastered, etc. So here's an example. We looked at this earlier. Um, she has a little explanation at the bottom that says, through my college program, I was educated on the following software use. I'm comfortable using all aspects of these programs and continue to expand my knowledge by using these programs in my day-to-day activities. So it got cut off there, but that's what it said in the bottom. So, she just created this graphic to show people this is the kind of tech skills she has. Personal management skills is all about your soft skills. So this is about your character. Again, refer back to those worksheets you did in the earlier module, and it will help you formulate what you want to include in your portfolio. It could be things like a personal career plan. It could be a picture of you at your previous work. Could be a letter of recommendation. It could be a thank you letter. It could be awards. Could be your exercise schedule. It could be anything that shows you are responsible. Here's an example that someone did here. So she's explained these photos were taken while I was studying and working. I love learning new things. And then she talks about helpfulness and perseverance, not giving up. So she's got documents on the left, the left side here. And the last section is teamwork skills. So this is skills in working with other people. Like, how do you cooperate? How do you respect other people? So you could use things like letters of recommendation. You could use, a photo of you and your soccer team or participating in band or choir. So anything. And then a little write-up explaining what you learned about working with others. So this is one I believe I showed you earlier. She had that little poster about the fundraiser, and she did a little write-up about, and you can't really read it here, but she talks about that she organized this fundraiser, and she said she had to go to local businesses and ask them for sponsorship. She had to form a group who would help her distribute and collect information and funds. You do need a LinkedIn profile for this assignment. Posted is lots of resources on how to create a LinkedIn profile. What it is it's an online network. Basically, it's like a Facebook for business professionals. It's designed specifically for professional networking. 93% of people who are recruiting for jobs or employees use LinkedIn. And almost 100% of future employees or employers use LinkedIn to screen applicants to see whether or not they should call you for an interview. So it's really important to have an online presence like a LinkedIn profile. One of the things on it is a profile picture. So you want to be very careful what you choose to put here. You want a quality photo. I mean, it doesn't have to be a professional photo, but you don't want something that's cropped. You don't want something that isn't industry appropriate. You know, you want to be 75% face and 25% background. So here's some examples, right? These are professional looking, whereas these have backgrounds that are distracting. This one is out of kilter. This one gives a very bad image, right? So you want to have a headshot with a light background and some key elements there. So no distracting things in the background at all. So there's an example of how you use that profile picture. So you also should have a background photo. Um, so you can use a bunch of different things like your workspace, tools, clients, projects, skyline, nature, artsy things. Think of it as your billboard. What would it say about you? How how would it reflect your brand? So it should be a background that shows who you are, what you do. And it should be appropriate, right? So here's one for a recruiter. So it's sort of a generic background. Here's another one. So it shows the London backdrop. The other thing you need is a headline. So this would be the headline and an about section. Your picture and headline is what's displayed when anybody searches or adds anything to your profile. You're limited, I think, to 220 characters. To construct a strong headline, don't use their default settings. So they give you like a template, but I wouldn't use it. And don't use negative words like unemployed. Use industry vocabulary skills and try to have a tagline or a summary of what you do. So here's this person's name. Here's where they've worked, what they've done, currently where they are, previously where they were, and their education. Here's one that's a little different. Experienced accountant providing contract services to startups and nonprofits. So nice, succinct little about. In the about, you want to tell your professional story. Don't just copy your profile from your resume. They want to know more about you. They already have your resume. So include keywords, tell a story, who you are, what you've done, what can you tell them about yourself, right? Try not to repeat things from your resume. Use keywords, add any media that you have, like videos or documents. So this gives you an idea. The about is quite a bit longer, and in a good about really makes a big, big difference. Then there's a summary. So basically there's 4 paragraphs. There's an optional 5th. It's your virtual handshake. It's the personal introduction you might have in a face-to-face networking opportunity. So you want the same genuine conversational voice that you would use if you were meeting someone over coffee. Personal, but descriptive. Tell your reader what you do and maybe a little bit about why. The first line should tell your reader who you are, what you want, and how they can contact you. And after that, make sure your summary is more of a story that answers, tell me about yourself, or why do you do what you do? Why do you love it? Tell about your aha moment. Remember to describe the accomplishments you're most proud of. After the first paragraph, explain that the area to how to contact you is so far down the bottom of the page that you don't want to make it difficult for them. So you could even do this summary as a video resume or introduction. Second paragraph provides more details about you. So you might want to start with the background. You might want something else in there. The third paragraph follows up what you're going to do or what you're doing currently to follow your goals. The fourth paragraph tells about extra things that you've been involved with. So extracurricular involvement, teamwork, leadership experiences, things like that. And the optional fifth paragraph, you can create a list of keywords. So you could have, like perseverant, accounting experience, different things like that. Some people use that part and some people don't. So here's an example. So they've got first paragraph, second paragraph, etc. And they didn't bother doing the keywords at the bottom. And there's another example. So there's all of her headline and her template, and then she's broken things down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's another one. So farm girl becomes an engineer. I grew up on a 120-acre fruit and vegetable farm, right? And then she goes on and on and on, explaining what she's done in the past, what she's her job experience, and some of her accomplishments. For your experience in education, you want to give dates, job titles, and companies that match your resume. So if you worked at McDonald's, that may or may not be suitable here. So you want things that make sense for the resume that you have. Make it functional. It doesn't have to be chronological. So include relevant work and your hands-on experience and let them know that you can do the work. You want to highlight your duties, tasks, and accomplishments, but again, don't just repeat what's on your resume. You might want to add some media, like a picture of you on the job, an article about you, a video of you working with a client, some digital media, and you put the most relevant experience in education first. So there's an example here, right? I'm a recent graduate, passionate for brand design. So now how do you start this e-portfolio? Well, use the worksheets that we did in the previous module to help you have an inventory of the skills. Then try organizing those under the headings listed in the assignment. Make sure that you have looked at the examples and that you have enough documents, at least 3 documents per section, and organize those under headings. Then create your web page, create your LinkedIn profile, add the content, organize your tabs, save, publish, and share. When you share it, you can share it so that it's private only to you and people you share it with. It could be public, and then you could say public with certain specific people, but make sure that however you share it, you're not going to be open to releasing confidential information. So that gives you an intro into the ePortfolio.